All night long. All night long.
You're just gonna serenade me.
I'm going to serenade you with the most 80s tone you've
Amazing.
ever heard from a chimney. Hello everybody, I'm Rob Chapman and this is Mark Roberts.
Hello.
I'm just going to insert a clap and a cheer right now. Okay, thank you. And also, for the first time ever on camera, Frame. Hi Frame. I'd like to welcome you to, I made a noise too, to Fireside Chat with Chappers. This is Mark Roberts, and Mark is an incredible producer-engineer from the Brighton, UK area. And what I'd like to do today is do Mark justice and chat about his methods of production and engineering. I have given him no quarter. He knows nothing of what I am to ask him.
Yeah.
No idea at all. And this won't simply be an exercise in singing his praises through all of the modes, but it'll just be a way of prizing open his beautiful mind, gazing inside, and giving you, ladies and gentlemen, an idea of the aural gifts, the musical fitness within Mr. Mark Roberts, producer from Brighton, UK. So, how long have you been producing engineering for?
I don't know. It started by accident, really. So it was like demoing mates' bands and my band, and I got some recording gear because I'm dyslexic, and they gave me a grant at uni. It was meant to get. No, they gave me a grant, and I got a Mac, and I was like, "That's great. What else can I do with it?" And it was just at that stage where it was starting to become more affordable for people to sort of start making demos and things, digital recorders and stuff like that. And a few of my mates were doing it, so yeah, bought a digital recorder, started doing all that business, and moved to Brighton in 2007, and just wanted a place to play drums, really. Played in a band at the time, and sort of started demoing and just charging, because I had to hire out the room as a rehearsal room.
Yeah.
So just sort of started offering demos as well, and caught the bug, as they say.
Did you sort of find that you were just the guy that always did a bit of recording here and there because no one else would do it? And you
I don't know. I had other friends who did that, and some of them got really into it, and some of them didn't. I think it was just something I got obsessed with, and it never interested me before, really, until I was kind of. It was more within reach. I used to go to studios and just look at all the gear and be like, "Ugh, I don't know. I just want to play guitar or play drums." And
right.
Yeah. That's
Do you
an
think...
elongated answer as to
No,
how I got into it. It's probably about 10 years, seriously.
It's the open-ended answers that I'm fishing for, Mark Roberts from Brighton, because I think it's important to really get inside your brain and see what makes you...
I'm from Reading, by the way.
We don't have to mention that.
We don't talk about that. So.
Well, I want to get to the root of what it is that makes you the producer of choice for Dorje, for Black Peaks, for Toska, for Clockwork Wolf Co, for people like Rocket Dolls, you've worked with loads and loads and loads of cool bands, and I would say that you're kind of, if a person could be trending, you are trending if there's a Brighton scene right now for sure, and you are trending as the producer.
Yeah, certainly Brighton. I've been doing well. Been lucky and had lots of really cool bands to record. And Brighton's just got a good scene as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good bands to record. And
so I in this conversation, I will be discussing other people I have worked with, not in any way to clang a name or blow a trumpet, but purely by means of trying to get to the root and the cause of what it is that makes Mark special. Because I have a feeling that different producers, like different musicians, have their own methodology of working that makes them unique.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I worked with Phil Tauber at Abbey Road, and he produced Thin Lizzy, his method of working an artist was to be kind of mean.
Yeah.
And when I mean kind of mean, I stormed off a couple of times.
Really?
Yeah. Angry, really, really angry.
Yeah.
He would go, yeah, that just wasn't good enough, to be honest with you. Do you know where you are? You're at Abbey Road. And I'm
Shit.
like, yeah,
Right.
I know where I am, Nick. And then it would be, take 4. He'd be like, maybe you're not up to this. And you'd get angry, and then eventually you get the take and you go, I knew you had it in you, I'm proud of you, man, that was great.
Right, okay, like a domineering father figure.
Yeah, it's more like his mechanism for getting the performance from you was that he was just horrible. But then at the end of it, you were like, it was just part of the method of getting that. Sometimes when you're angry, you get a certain kind of take.
Yeah.
And that was what he was rooting for.
Yeah. Especially with rock music, I suppose, when you want that energy.
Yeah, when you want that anger, that aggression and that kind of sort of victorious anger in the mix. That was his methodology for getting it. Eddie Kramer was the complete flip side. He would be like, that was wonderful, Chappers. Could you do another 50 of them? And you'd be like, I love you, man. Yeah, sure. And he would listen to every single hair on your body. And at one point, I did a rhythm take, and he said, sounds good, but it sounds like you're standing too high. So put your feet apart a bit more, breathe a bit deeper, and play the same thing. Now, that's a feeling thing.
Yeah,
so he was listening to how I'm feeling when I'm playing, which is mad.
Yeah.
You do a very different thing. You, if I say to you, okay, this is my vision for the music, imagine the music to be here, and it's something that takes form and shape as whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's your Bible. You will never go, well, yeah, that's what you wanted, but I reckon this bit should be post-hardcore, and you want to have an area of punk. You serve the vision. And I really like that you kind of step back and allow it to happen.
Yeah.
And then you very, very gently make it work by being aware of the emotions of the musician and nudging it bit by bit. Are you conscious of any of this method of working?
Well, it's really nice you say that, because that's, I'm glad that's come across, because that's kind of what I want to do, I think, is I see myself as facilitating a band, and unless they've come to me with the kind of specific, we want you to run right with this, we want something different, blah, blah, blah. I want to help people realise their vision and hopefully take it, or elements of it to where they didn't think it would go. So, there's different methods. I suppose different people respond to different things as well.
Yeah.
And you do get those kind of, I've heard various stories about other kind of producers that are more, the beration comes in and, what's his name? Ross Robinson throwing lit candles at people when they're singing and stuff. But I think that's got its place. I don't generally do that, but I try and make it a relaxed, fun experience and try and almost stay out of the way a little bit and let the band do their thing. Most of the bands I work with haven't got kind of label pressure, and they're not trying to crack the charts exactly.
Although some of them have got label pressure.
Yeah, more and more, I suppose, but I still think they're the kind of bands that, even if the label doesn't know it, they're the ones that should have the final say. And I'll always, if something's glaring me in the face, like, we really should try this, or that bit really sucks, I'll say it and I'll try and illustrate what I mean. But then at the end of the day, if the band say to me no, then that's where the buck stops, kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
The buck stops with the band.
Yeah. I'm a facilitator.
I like that. You're almost a musical arbiter.
Yeah. Conduit.
You always struck me more, almost a little bit like a male version of Sylvia Massey. Do you know who Sylvia Massey is?
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah.
If you don't know who Sylvia Massey is, the first place I recommend you go to is Sylvia Massey recording drums underneath a nuclear tower.
Yeah, when she's hitting a snare and it's just like...
Oh, God, it's unbelievable. She's kind of renowned for doing really random things, like building an amplifier from a light bulb, or using...
Recording a pickle.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not as bonkers as her, but I think I like her attitude, and she's really into the vibe. And there was one thing she did with, I think, System of a Down, and she made a tent for one of them in the studio, and this kind of area that you could go and, I don't know, meditating or it just does bonkers stuff to try and. I think on the Tool record she had them shoot a piano with a shotgun and throw a Marshall stack off a cliff, all kinds of stuff like that.
See, I think if you had bigger budgets and
I'd definitely do more weird shit.
You would do a lot more
time.
shotgun piano stuff.
Yeah.
A lot less Colin the Crocodile on a snare drum, which is what we did.
Yeah, that was our version of
piano.
Yeah.
So my when we recorded the Clockwork Wolf Company EP, I wanted this really kind of rootsy, bluesy percussion rhythm track. And Mark's a drummer, and I'm going to ask you a question in a minute about whether you think that helps you in your job as a producer. But we wanted some kind of alternative sounding percussion, and we got a whole box of every percussion instrument, and then got the drummer to shape the entire box. So it was like a chain gang kind of sound.
Yeah.
And even though the box broke, it still sounded amazing.
Yeah, we got enough of it before it cracked. And everything fell out.
My son and my wife came to visit me, and he had this little crocodile that you'd stretch it and it would go when it came back together again. So we put it on a snare, and then
a floor tom.
A floor tom.
Yeah.
That's how much I know. They look the same.
It's important. It wouldn't have sounded right on the snare.
Right, because it would have shelled off some of the high frequencies on the spectrum of sound. So it sounded great, and it's in there on the album, and nothing will ever sound like that. Yeah, unless someone else takes my Colin the Crocodile, my specific one, and puts it on a floor tom, not a snare.
That was cool, and it doesn't sound. You wouldn't think that's a furry crocodile. You know, it kind of sounds like a
Guica.
A weird,
a hairy Guica.
Sounds much more like that.
What other crazy things have you done, or is the crocodile on the floor tom?
Oh, that's pretty crazy, isn't it? A crocodile. I had someone hitting the keyboard, and it was like a keyboard though, like an old Windows keyboard that I had. Yeah. Because they just wanted the sound of keys. Yeah. Right. So we did that. Crazy. I'm trying to think. I'm sure I've done all sorts of crazy things, but I can't. Nothing really comes to mind. Just, I don't know, weird reamping things in big rooms and stuff like that.
Right. I really liked your method of getting the reverb on the Clockwork album. That was good. Do you want to explain what you did there?
Well, it's nothing outlandish. A lot of people do it. It was just capturing the room at Brighton Electric's a big room, and you do get a fair bit of room sound off the ambient mics, but it's also quite well treated in there, so it's quite a controlled sound. But the little corridor space just off of the room has got a nice high ceiling and hard walls, and that's just acts like an echo chamber really. So we had a couple of mics in there, and Rob's amp was back sort of this end of the room, the corridor was here. So yeah, a lot of the reverb on the guitar, especially the rhythm guitars, all coming from that. And then we left those mics up for the whole session, so whenever we had a guitar overdub or whatever, we always had a bit of that reverb to blend in, which I think added to the kind of glue of it all and the vibe.
But we used a load of different amps, didn't we?
Yeah.
We used, what was that, vintage? Was it Sound City?
Yeah, Sound City combo. I don't actually think it was that old. I think we thought it was old, and then someone corrected us and said, no, it's not. But
it just looks like it's been pulled out of a tramp's ass. Yeah. It's absolutely...
It's just ragged, wasn't it? It's just really put really loud with a bit of a boost in front of it.
Yeah. Well, cool. we used that. I used the Mjolnir and the Jimi Hendrix Octave Fuzz. Yeah, the Golden Jesus, you called it.
Golden Jesus.
And then we used the Red Dwarf.
Yeah.
This fine amplifier here.
My JMP.
Yes, your JMP. Yeah. We used my BadCat Cut 40R. I think
that was for the
solo with the baritone guitar on Idle Hands.
Idle Hands, yeah.
Yeah, that was
a later session. Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous lead sound.
BadCat amps are great. Whenever I've used them, really good on bass as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool.
Wait, is that what we used for Dave? We didn't use the BadCat for Dave.
No, you didn't have the BadCat then, I think.
I think I got it halfway through the recording because I definitely brought it in
For Idle Hands was done a few months later.
Yes,
so
it was.
Yeah, you'd got it at that point.
As we sat down. By the way, I left my power device for the laptop at Waterbear, so we're on limited power for the laptop. So when this dies, it's just going to cut us off. So at some point we're going to cut off mid-sentence.
How are we doing?
Well, we're okay. We've got 34%. So
okay.
We could be good for the duration. I don't know,
Yeah.
but if it does cut us off mid-sentence, that'll be the reason why we won't be being rude. It'll just be we'll be turned off.
Never mind.
Yeah, Mark was asking about some new pedals. And,
Yes, I've only seen pictures.
I thought
I ain't seen them in the flesh.
I'd let him hold them. Just to imbue them with his spiritual energy.
Amazing.
That's what they look like.
Cool. It's like an old Zippo lighter.
It's based on Victoriana tobacco tins and snake oil medicine bottles. Cool. Those are the.
It's it's not going to scratch off, is it?
Yeah. No, it's dirty things. They sound phenomenal.
So, marvellous engine.
And the very thing.
Very thing.
Need great tone? I've got the very thing for you. It's the very thing.
And are these just different sort of flavours of? Are they overdrive?
So the very thing is way more of a you add it to a crunch,
right?
To get that kind of even order harmonic overtone. So when you're playing a note and it sustains, you find that the harmonic is an octave or closer.
Yeah.
It's really musical sounding harmonic feedback. Whereas this acts way more as an amplifier, so you put it in front of a clean amp and you get a gunned kind of heavy distorted amplifier.
Cool.
Should you require it with bells on.
Brilliant.
I like bells on my amps.
Yeah, I like how solid they are.
That's
cool.
A compliment. I shall take it from Mark Roberts of Brighton. So
I haven't heard them yet, Rob.
Well, you will do next time we do the album for Clockwork or Dorje or whatever. We'll probably go to Middle Farm or something. I'll have a whole stack of pedals that I designed, which is fun. I like using gear that work. Cool. Sorry.
Cherubs.
You've mixed Clockwork Wolf and Company, Dorje and Toska. How different is it mixing for these bands, bearing in mind a lot of the people in them are the same people?
Yeah, they're all fairly different really. I mean, Dorje was the first one I did and it was recorded by Dave, wasn't it? And
this is centred on what we're talking about.
Yeah, and that was really cool. It's all really well recorded. And then it would have been Toska and then I can't remember, it doesn't matter what order it is.
I think it was definitely Toska next, then it was the Clockwork
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Toska was different because I produced it and recorded it and stuff. So some of it happens as you're doing that. You know, you're part of the sounds you choose and stuff informs the mix. So it was a very different process in that respect. It's probably quite a different type of mix as well. I think Dorje was a bit more in your face in some ways, and I don't know.
You take the balls and you put them to the wall.
Yeah, I just pushed them against the wall.
Yeah.
I think the most differences between Toska, it's like balls now, just talking about balls, but Toska and Clockwork Wolf Company, just because the Clockwork Wolf stuff was way more, it was one of those things because the band was just starting and it wasn't quite a band yet.
Yeah.
We had Rob and Chris playing in the same room and we had like the guitar spilling onto the drum mics and it was very much...
It was great.
Yeah, it's just more old school, like we're committing these sounds and you do get a certain vibe and, you know, we wanted it to be a bit rootsy and bluesy and stuff and that kind of thing added to it. So that's the main difference. And Toska was done sort of in layers, but we did try and keep an element of that organic thing. So we wanted some of their live sort of sound. So we did a similar thing by keeping room mics up for all the guitars and things. But I think with yours it was just that more organic bluesy
right
thing. And with the mixing as well, I would have just probably done less, if anything, with the mixing.
Right. Do you remember recording me coming into your flat to record some of the vocals for Dorje?
Yeah.
That was one of the first times I properly worked with Mark, and I was terrified because I really, really wanted to nail the vocal takes.
Yeah.
Was it centered on the track I was doing bits for?
I think so. Yeah.
I think it was some of the more intricate.
I think there was a verse that we redid on something, and I think I got you to sort of.
There was a verse on Off
some choruses.
There was a verse on not Off Me. It was a verse on. I'm gonna get on out, get out, Outspoken.
Yeah.
It was.
I'm terrible with song names.
But
so
I wrote
bad.
it, and I'm terrible with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a verse on Outspoken because I'd sang the majority of the song, gone back into the studio with Dave and recorded one of the verses when I had a cold.
Right.
But it was one of those head colds
right.
where you can still sing, but you sound different. And it was just like, it stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
So I went to Mark's and re-recorded that. And I was just like, I'm in a flat. Am I going to really annoy
Ghetto
neighbours? Yeah. Or is it going to be fine? And it was great. It really really did the job. I loved your microphone.
Yeah.
It was
that
nice.
was a Bee's Knees Jade, that one's called.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Bee's Knees microphones.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What are your preferred, since the majority of people watching this, I'm going to hazard a guess, are guitarists.
Yeah.
What's your preferred miking setup for any kind of guitar cab? Would you always go 2 mics or 3? Are you going, condenser, ribbon? Or what do you do?
I'll often use a combination of 2 mics. Usually something, you can't quite like speakers there.
Yeah.
Probably have I try and get 2 different characters from the 2 mics. So I might have something that's quite on the dust cap, so that'd be quite a bright, brittle sound, and on its own probably won't be what you want. And then have something either off towards the edge of the cone, or even like 45-degree angle, so it's off axis. And that, again, that mic on its own is gonna sound a bit more kind of a bit less toppy and stuff, but the combination of the 2 will.
So you get 2 mics,
sound.
Either of which on their own isolated would sound kind of pants, but when you blend the 2 together, you get the full spectrum of frequencies that you need.
Yeah, broadly speaking. I mean, it's not always the way, because often they'll both sound good in their own right, and you can get away with just using a 57, but if I only had the 57, I probably wouldn't go quite as
to the edge.
Yeah, I'd probably get a middle ground kind of thing. So I do quite like getting different characters that can blend, and they serve the purpose.
So if this fist represents the dust cap right in the centre, and you're just using 157, and this is the very middle of that dust cap, where would you place it?
It would be somewhere here, probably.
And angled slightly in?
Depends.
Everyone's got a different place.
Yeah, and don't worry, a 57 is a fairly affordable mic, isn't it? And that's all you need to get a really good guitar sound. There's been millions of records made with that mic.
Yeah. You can sing into them too.
Yeah, you can sing into them, you can record various things. And the most important thing, and I keep banging on about this, people, is the guitarist and the guitar sound, and the microphone. You move it around till it sounds to you how it sounds in the room, and you're capturing what's there.
Right.
Don't worry too much. It's great to have a ribbon mic as well, and it's great to, mic up 2 cabs or mic up
4 cabs,
a hallway and blah blah blah. But just concentrate on the important stuff, really.
Have you ever used a cheap or weird microphone, like sort of that wouldn't ordinarily be used to record music, just for an interesting effect?
Yeah, definitely. They've got a couple. I can't remember if we did it with you. At Brighton Electric, they've got a few kind of oddities that just sound really, like telephonic kind of thing. Old kind of Grundig mics and stuff like that, and they're really good just to put up, and can just be. I used one on drums recently, and it was just there as a kind of catch-all, and it sounded pretty scary on its own, and bit of EQ and compression and stuff. It just had some character, and we used it. So.
Interesting. So you mentioned drums, which crowbars me back to a question that I was referring to earlier. Do you think when it comes to production that it's useful that you are a good drummer. You play drums in your band, don't you?
Yeah, I think it is useful. I don't think you have to be a musician to be a producer, but it helps. Put that on a t-shirt, can you? No, it does help because, you know, you have an idea what the drummer, if a drummer's struggling something, you have an idea with what they're shooting for.
A piano, maybe.
Yeah. and you can also hear when someone's, you quickly understand what they're doing, and you can hear when they've done a take that they can improve on, for example.
But when it comes to, for example, like typically with recording vocals with me, or I'm guessing with most musicians that sing, you get like 8 takes. I don't know why, but for some reason for me it's always the 8th take that we generally get, because at that point I'm like, I just forget about it and I'm just singing. But and then your comp between the 8 takes, normally 2 of them will be golden, and then you get it from. When you're comping, are you more aware of the rhythmical phrasing or the melody or the spirit of the?
It's more like the spirit, the emotion of it.
So if it was offbeat but it had a vibe, you're more interested in the vibe.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not always something that's that quantifiable, and it's probably different for everyone. But often to me, I'll just be like, yeah, that's it. And even if it's slightly out of tune, or if it's slightly early or late, sometimes something's got a bit of magic about it, and you know, you don't want to fall back on Pro Tools, but you can fix things, and it's.
Right.
I'd rather shift something about that's a little bit imperfect, and then, you know, labour it, make you do 10 more takes, and then we've got a really kind of technically brilliant, sterile version of the line. Whereas.
Totally.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, we're human beings, and it wants to sound like a human thing.
Yeah.
When something is too perfect. In fact, this is one of my own critiques of the previous Dorje stuff. Yeah. I think when as artists, when we performed the songs, I think they were too rigid and not loose enough. I think we were so obsessed with perfection in everything that we were doing that it came across very slightly clinical. Yeah. And I want the next recording, the next album that we're working on now, to be way more live feeling and rugged and kind of. The SLR reached its little mark, don't worry. We haven't run out of batteries, we're still at 26%. So we're probably going to be fine. All I was just saying is, I wasn't for a second saying that Dorje is perfect. Far from it. I'm in it. But it was definitely the case that through striving for rhythmical and technicality perfection, that I felt like, and I know Rabia said this too, that it had that touch of sterility to it that we wanted to remove with the next recording. Do you have any tricks for getting people to loosen up when they record? Because almost everybody goes, oh God, I'm being recorded. I'm suddenly really conscious of every single thing that I'm doing, especially if I'm doing vocals, because I can hear the tongue in my mouth and now I don't want to make a single sound. Yeah, that's it. What do you do?
There's a few things, because having been recorded, like I suffer from that loads. I hate being recorded, and it's really easy. I have to remind myself all the time. It's really easy for me to sit there and sort of say to you know, it's fine, chill out, just play it. I know you can play it. You did it a second ago when we weren't recording. You know, and that's a classic thing with singers, and I just need to go da, 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 da. And then as soon as you hit record, they bottle it, or they So that, I don't know, things you can do to make people more comfortable is just, I mean, everyday stuff. Just don't, throw lit candles at them and tell them that they should. Do you know where you are?
Yeah,
you're in Brighton Electric.
That wasn't a great experience for me when that happened.
Works for some people.
Performance ended up being really good. Yeah, I do prefer your method, I must admit.
Because I'm not saying it's better, because that guy's made some awesome records.
Yeah.
I think, is it Good Garth or whatever his name is? I've heard does. He's pretty brutal as well and stuff. And they get their results based on that.
Well, I mean, talking of results, when we did the Clockwork EP, we cut 4 vocal tracks in one day. And I'm still learning the vocal craft, but for me that was an inhuman effort to get 4 tracks. But I remember distinctly you taking me out, making me drink tea, and then just making me chill, and then bringing me back in, and then coaxing that thing from me.
It's the thing you have to be most on point. Like vocals is the most intense thing as a recording engineer because it's so personal. It's coming literally from that person. I think you can be in a bit of a bad mood. It still affects guitarists and drummers and what have you, but like vocals, it's so personal, and your mood and everything, your surroundings can affect so much what you do. And when you get to know a singer that you're working with, you know where the point is, and some people just want to keep going, and you do have to say to them,
don't
have a break. Sometimes it's like a heavy band and it's like you're gonna blow your voice out, or sometimes you can just tell they're not in the right mindset, and just getting out the room and coming back.
It's interesting. I want to give an anecdote about you doing some of this, but also I noticed as a recording vocalist, when I sing hard and loud, my voice has much more longevity, and when I'm holding back, for some reason, it's like if you try to blow a trumpet softly, it's not going to make a sound.
Yeah.
You need a certain amount of air velocity to get the false chord or the flesh to move around and cause that heat if you want to have heat in your vocals.
Yeah.
So I noticed just from experience now that holding back gives me less endurance.
Well, it's probably you're working a bit harder to have that control.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in fifth gear, it's your body knows what to do. It's like I'm in fifth gear. Bong.
And when we recorded Idle Hands, which for me is a mega emotional song, it's about one of my friends who unfortunately died, and it was horrible circumstances, and I literally found out he died a week later, just wrote the entire thing in one go, guitars, lyrics, everything. We were tracking the vocals, and there was one line I could not fucking sing.
Yeah.
I'd go up to it and I would choke, and it would just like stop here, and I just kind of, you'd hear it in the line. There'd be like a little falter and a little movement in the melody that wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And about 4 takes in, Mark took me out for a cup of tea, made me eat some crisps or whatever. And then when we went back in, he said something that I will never forget. He said, just try singing the words. Now, but what that meant was just consider them words.
Yeah.
Because because every time when you sing, you see in your head a story of the lyric and everything that's behind it.
Yeah.
And that could not be processed through me for that line. It was just too painful. But when he said, for this line, just sing the words, it removed all of that baggage and problem from the performance aspect, and I got the line out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you'd even considered that, but psychologically it was absolutely genius.
Yeah, well, you kind of, it's not something you'd normally encourage, I suppose, is it? Because
No.
you want the emotion for most of the song, but there's so much surrounding it, and even if you're, not thinking consciously about that, the emotion was still there when you sang that line. It was just, you had to be a bit more academic about it to get through it.
That's right. But well, what I found was when I considered them words, and I did a few takes with them just as words, I could get a bit more of the feeling in it, and then eventually the take formed.
Yeah.
But if it hadn't have been for you saying, sing the words, that little tiny thing, that line would never have worked. On a similar note, what do you think about this frequency that we're not supposed to use?
What's that?
So Dave was telling me that there is a certain hertz that A used to be at, and then they moved it. And then if you try and find this particular hertz measurement, you can't find it in Logic. It won't allow you to get it. Have you heard about this?
No.
It's a conspiracy. But I want to.
We need to get Dave to explain that to me.
I'm just going to look it up now and see if it's.
Wanted to discover these frequencies in order to destroy.
That is not what I'm talking about. So we're in A440 now.
Yeah.
But it never used to be A440. God damn it! I can't find it. I'm going to have to ring Dave.
Yeah, it used to be a different. I've recorded a band that insisted on being in the old style tuning.
Right.
And
I'm actually just going to ring Dave.
Just call Dave.
You ready?
You alright, buddy? How you doing?
Yeah, that's good.
Dude, help me out. I'm just having a conversation and it's bugging me that I can't remember this. But you know that there's some kind of forbidden frequency that you can't get on Logic?
Yes.
What is that frequency?
It would be...
And why is it a forbidden frequency?
So it was what A was traditionally tuned to in like ancient times. That's what I think was based off. When there was some, I think, German investigation into it, which changed A to 440, because 432 had healing properties, and they wanted to control, like numb people with music, basically.
Right. So basically A should have been 432.
Yeah.
But now it's 440 because conspiracy.
Yes.
Because conspiracy.
Insert conspiracy.
Okay.
But if you get on, like, basically if you try and use like an equalizer to boost it or a pitch, saying it jumps past that frequency.
Right.
So you can get either side of it, but you can't.
You can't hit 432.
I think it's 432, yeah.
Right. That's really interesting. Thank you so much, man. That's all it was. I'm actually on YouTube chatting to Mark.
Hi, Dave.
Right.
Right, Dave.
Yeah, again.
So yeah, do you want to say hello, YouTube?
Hi, YouTube. Insert conspiracy blurred out image of my face.
Okay.
Silly voice effect.
All right, mate. Take it easy. I'll speak to you later.
Alright.
Bye.
Bye.
No, that's cool. I knew about the 440 thing because there's loads of people on YouTube that have transposed songs and stuff to that tuning, and they think it heals them and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
But I didn't know about the equalizer not allowing you to boost those.
That's the kind of thing that you kind of go, that can't be true.
Yeah.
That cannot be true.
But it was all different tunes. Like if you record a harmonium or something, you have to pitch your music like 30 cents down, I think, and then record the harmonium and then pitch the harmonium back up 30 cents so that it fits in with modern tuning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
there you go.
You guys can test this, see if you can produce 432 or whatever it is hertz, and whether it heals you. Although actually, every single thing that we see, touch, smell around us is purely just a frequency of vibrating nothing, according to physics.
Yeah,
so
and Bill Hicks.
Right, so if everything is just nothing vibrating at certain frequencies, then probably 432 is a frequency of chocolate or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cataracts.
Yeah. Why did you...
Chocolate, cataracts.
Right, interesting.
Yeah.
Do you have any words of wisdom for people who are interested in setting up a little home studio? Limited budget, not too much money. Maybe they haven't got a lot of experience, but they want to start. You know, maybe they're 10. Maybe they're called John.
John, 10 years old from Kent.
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth. Cool. Hi, John. I'd say just get yourself a little interface, like a Focusrite Sapphire or something like that, and Logic or Reaper. I believe Reaper's free. Doesn't really matter what you use. All the DAWs are comparable now. It's just a personal preference what you use, and some cost more. I use Pro Tools, but it costs loads of money, and gone off on a tangent there. Yeah, John. All right, John. Just get a little interface and start making music. And
right. Just start making music.
Stock plugins. Yeah, don't get too hung up on your gear and your plugins and whatnot. Like, buy a little interface and get a DAW, and you've got everything you need there to make some music.
Okay.
Learn off YouTube and things like that.
And if they wanted to learn off of YouTube, there is a guy who started making some recording tutorials on YouTube called Mark Roberts.
Ah, yeah.
From Brighton area.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he has a YouTube channel which is bing, bing.
Where is it? There.
And you could do better than to do worse than to visit Mark Roberts' YouTube channel and look up some of his stuff. Talking of recording people who haven't done a lot of recording, I've got a friend called Sylvia.
Massey.
No, I'd love to meet Sylvia Massey. That would be crazy. No, I'm talking about Sylvia Ville, our buddy Sylv, my son's godmother, Lithuanian magician, dancer, artist, violinist, linguist, cook. She does everything. She works for Facebook and Instagram a lot and does all sorts of weird things. Oh, she's actually staying with us. I've
met her.
Yeah, you've met her, yeah. She's actually in that room next door.
Really?
Yeah, she literally is next door, yeah. So we have to be slightly hushed, yeah. It's her birthday next week.
Yeah.
She's written about 10 to 15 tunes, but never, ever recorded them. She's never done it because she's always been too self-critical. Yeah. She's come up with excuses, blah, 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 never done it. And I know that in her, she's got 4 tracks that in a couple of days under your guidance that she could get out into the real world.
Cool.
And it's her birthday next week. So I'm actually going to hire you for 2 days to record Sylvia, and that's going to be her birthday present. So we'll hire Brighton Electric, the big studio room, and then your job will just be to coax out of the Lithuanian legend 4 of her tracks, and also, if you don't mind, put down a bit of percussion because she's a violinist, guitarist, singer, magician, chef, icon, but she's not a percussionist. Drummer.
Are you going to play some guitar and things?
No, I'm not. I'm just paying you the money. I'm hiring Bright as a gift for Sylvia, and then you and I are just going to sing her one line of Happy Birthday in a hushed voice so that she doesn't know what we're doing. 3, 4. Happy birthday to you. There you go. We'll 5 that one. That's great.
Nice one.
So there you go. Well, look, we've done good, and we had 17%
17
power left.
Careful with that axe.
So that's a Pink Floyd track.
Careful with that axe.
Eugene, yeah. Huh. It's a classic old Pink Floyd track. Thank you.
I wish I'd said that deliberately. Yeah, that was the reference. Rob.
You could have had that and pretended, but you didn't.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy Mark Roberts from Brighton is. If you want to hire Mark, contact him through
my
Instaface.
No, just email me or something.
What's your email address? Is it ping?
Yes.
Right, I thought it was. That's good. Good to know. Do you like my frame?
I do. Do the elephant once more for the outro.
Okay.
That's going on the next record then.
Do you want to do the elephant?
I don't know.
Put your mouth over the hole. You've got to blow it a little bit harder than you think. What's great is that you can blow through his mouth and it's a completely different tone.
That's the whole video in itself.
I mean, we should definitely bring that into a recording session at some point. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Well done for being the first guest on Fireside Chat with Chappers. There's no fire, it's just tones. See you guys later. Chappers out.